Hello everyone, welcome back to Mango Goblin. I'm Trix, of course, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Necromunda again. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Bookofruin. Of course, I've done the Outlaw Hired Guns elsewhere, but we're going to look at the Bookofruin and we're going to focus in on one of the warbands today. We're going to do the Genestealer Cult, then we're going to do Chaos Cults in a separate video, and then we're going to do the Corpse Chronicles in a third video, and then we'll overview the book in a fourth video. So this is going to be the Genestealer Cult from the Bookofruin. So let's get started. The Bookofruin is a really cool book, but it's a lot like the other books in the series. There are some good parts about it, there are some bad parts about it. But as I said, we're going to focus in on one of the available gangs that you can get in this book. Right. It opens up with a very cool picture of a Genestealer Cult icon. Now, I don't know if this is one of the factions that are available in the Genestealer Cult codexes before, or they will be a new faction of Genestealer Cults or new flavour of Genestealer Cults coming in the future. Right, so what is Genestealer Cults? Genestealers are basically a forerunner to the Tyranid hive swarms that will send Genestealers out in pods or something, and they'll send them ahead of hive fleets. They will go into planetary systems with sentient life, and they will infiltrate the population, turning them into cultists where they worship the Genestealer that has infected them. This is, of course, enables them to create hybrids of Genestealer cultists, such as first generation, second generation, third generation, and the Genestealers themselves as the fourth. You will get anomalies such as the Primus, the Clanbus, and other such ones. So a Genestealer Cult Gang is made up of various fighters. We have the leader. The leader can be one of two individuals, such as the Adept or the Alpha. The Adept is a Psyker with the following rules. He has the Psyker word, as described on page 75 of the Necromunda rulebook. Genestealer Cult word powers are treated as primary skill sets for the purposes of skill selection. So, right, according to that, you get a primary skill. They're treated as a primary skill. But it also says starting skill. The Cult Adept starts with one skill from their primary skill sets and the non-sanctioned Psyker skill. So, because it's a little bit unclear, you could have two psychic powers in the beginning. You could say that. It would really depend on the person overseeing the campaign or an agreement between the two players. I don't see any issues with it. Psychic powers or word powers in Necromunda are always going to be a double-edged sword. So, you know, it's as much as dangerous to you as it is to other people. So their stats: movement of 4, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 3, toughness 3, 2 wounds, initiative 3, attacks 2, leadership 3+, call 5+, willpower 5+, intelligence 4+, 120 credits, as I said. He's okay as a leader. If you're going to take him as a leader, hang him back a bit. You're not that great in combat, and as a psychic, you probably want to keep him towards the rear of, you know, deployment, and you want to keep him guarded as well. He doesn't have any weapon restrictions, so you can give him basically any weapon you want. So then we have the Alpha, who is 145 credits. He has a movement of 5, so he's got a better movement than the Adept. Weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, again, he's more of a combat leader. Strength 4, again, better than the Adept. Toughness 3, so same toughness, 2 wounds, same initiative, 3+, same attacks, 2+, leadership 3+, again, call 5+, willpower 5+, intelligence 4+. So basically, only the combat affecting stats are different. No weapon restrictions, one primary skill, and it has the following rules. The Cult Alpha is always an early generation hybrid and always possesses the third arm. So basically, they can handle unwieldy weapons or gain an extra attack. If they have a weapon with the unwieldy trait, it becomes a basic action rather than a double action. Otherwise, the fighter gains +1 attack on their profile made as an unarmed attack with the rending trait, so you get a weapon with rending, which is pretty good. Additionally, any fighter with an extra arm may carry a 4th weapon and may attack with 3 weapons with the sidearm or melee traits than the usual 2. So you could basically use the gunfighter guy from the Genestealer Cult as your adept. He's a really cool model. So yeah, maybe that's an option. Hybrid Acolyte, which is the champion. He can have 3 arms as well. He has the movement of 4, so 1 less than the Alpha, but 3 plus ballistic skill, weapon skill, strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 1, initiative 3 plus, attacks 1, leadership 4, pull of 5, willpower 7, intelligence 6 plus, 85 credits, starting skill, hazard suit. Yeah, it's the first time that we've had someone with the hazard suit. When recruited, hybrid acolytes belong to a later generation by default. They may be designated as early generation hybrid. For 45 credits, they can have an extra arm. So basically, you have to pay 45 extra credits for the extra arm, I think, if you want it. If you have a adept, the Psyker, as a leader, it might be worth having a champion with 3 arms, either to take a heavy weapon or to basically become a gunfighter, such as the very cool mod one, as I mentioned. Then we have an Aberrant, which is counted as a ganger, 95 credits, weapon skill of 3 plus, movement 5, ballistic skill 6, strength 5, toughness 4, 2 wounds, initiative 5, attacks 2, leadership 9, call 4, willpower 6, intelligence 10. No equipment to start with. They can only take close combat weapons. Has the unstoppable skill, as I've said. They can appear in any generation. It doesn't matter because they have basically they can be modelled with any kind of mutations or anomalies, but these are all factors into the profile. I will say that the Aberrant here is pretty cool, especially with strength 5 and the unstoppable skill, of course. So it might be worth taking him and 1 hybrid acolyte if you're going to have a Genestealer Cult Gang. I will note though that the Aberrants are nowhere near as powerful as a Brute. So if you're thinking of using it in the same way as you would use a Brute, be careful there because they're much more squishy. Then we go down to the Neophyte hybrids. They have a hazard suit again. They can have basic weapons, close combat weapons and pistols. 1 may be armed with a special weapon. During the campaign, Neophytes can also take special weapons as they are added to the roster. When recruited, Neophyte hybrids belong to a later generation by default. They may be designated as an earlier generation with 45 credits additional, having an extra arm. Same rules as before. Again, it's up to you what you want to do with them. We do have a rather cool piece of artwork here, which looks like this is a Aberrant or a Neophyte from a Cowdoor gang that has become a Genestealer cultist. Very cool piece of artwork. Maybe some inspiration for some conversion work there. And that's the last fighter we have. We have some skill access charts. I'm going to put those on the screen now. We have some skill access charts. They're on the screen now. They give you the various different fighters listed here. The weapons that they have are very similar to the Neophytes, the Acolytes, boxes that you can get. So if you get yourself 2 boxes of those, if you want an Adept, maybe pick up a Magus. If you want an Alpha, maybe find a Primus from somewhere, but you don't have to, you can just convert your own stuff. There are lots of Genestealer Cult characters out there to be used. This is probably one of the nicer options for a gang because you've got a lot of basic materials to use from. It's not like the Chaos Cult Gang, which now is going to be quite hard because there's no more Blackstone Fortress stuff. But yeah, it's a really cool idea. You can also, going down from the list, you can have 0 to 3 Psychic Familiars, which are the little minions, the little tiny Genestealers that you can see. They have movement of 5, weapon skill 4+, strength 2, toughness 2, wounds 1, initiative 2+, attacks 1, leadership 7, core 7, willpower 6+, intelligence 7+, 25 credits. It's common. It's basically counted as an exotic beast, as described on page 104 of Necromunda Gangs of the Underhive. Omen of Fortune, while within 3 inches of its owner, it may avoid one successful hit by making a willpower check. If you make this check, it counts as being missed. If it fails, then you are wounded as normal. It says that templates and blast markers are treated as normal for the purposes of determining hits, but the familiar's owner is assumed to have dodged clear if it passes that check. Precognition. So basically, you give people a 3+ save roll, which cannot be modified by armor piercing. Again, it has the similar rules. Basically, on a flame, if you have a blast marker or a flame template, it's a 4 or 6. The familiar is hit by the attack on 1 to 3. The familiar is able to dodge. So basically, it has the same rules as Omen of Fortune, but for itself. That's what precognition is. Catfall. When the fighter jumps down a ledge, they count the vertical distance as half. Clamber, when it climbs up a ladder, move is not halved. The familiar has access to agility, secondary, cunning primary skills sets. The word powers are telepathy, hypnosis, I'm just going to put them on the screen now. So basically we've got a set of skills here. They're all okay. As I said, word powers in Necromunda are always going to be a double-edged sword. Do think if you want to take them. They're always like this. They are still like this in the new edition. In my opinion, if you are going to run GSC or Genestealer Cult Gang, they are worth taking, considering the effects that they can give you, such as, well, hypnosis and unbreakable will, zealot, mind control, assail, and force blast. They're all really good, so do think if you want to take them. So we looked at the stats. Now let's look at the rules that you need to use in campaigns and stuff. For example, the gang composition rules are: there must be one leader. This must be either an adept or an alpha, chosen when the gang is founded. The total number of neophytes must always be equal to or higher than the total number of other fighters, leader, hybrid, acolyte, aberrants, in the gang, not counting hangers-on. Now you are limited for hangers-on. You must choose outlaw ones, basically. A fighter can be equipped with a maximum of 3 weapons marked with an asterisk, so basically the same rules as normal. During a campaign, it's basically the same rules as normal. It goes on to say cult leadership. Unless otherwise specified, an alpha or an adept will always follow rules for a leader. Acolytes are champions, and they can activate groups as normal. Many generations of hybrids. Genestealer cults grow over many generations. The earliest generations, those closest to the pure stage Genestealers, are the most alien in appearance and behaviour, often showing very little in the way of human characteristics. Most will have 3 arms and be stronger and more ferocious. The Genestealer Cult Gang represents an offshoot of something larger and far more sinister, and members of the gang are normally of later generations, the better to conceal themselves within the population of Necromunda as a whole. So, in campaigns. In a Dominion campaign, Genestealer cults are treated like any other gang. They begin with a settlement, which they can't lose, and it represents their base of operations. They can take control of other territories, but on a 6, they don't generate Jews, they generate a neophyte hybrid. If they conquer more than another territory, so for example if they capture another settlement or something that would produce more gangers or Jews, on the new territory you always generate later generation of hybrids. Despite their agenda, a Genestealer Cult Gang is seen by any other gang by most of the locals. They claim territory. Genestealer Cult Gang is treated as an all-out gang for boons, which is a bit weird, but okay, we'll go with that. Gaining experience, I guess they use the Book of Iron for boons then now. Gaining experience, they gain experience the same as other gangs. Aberrants advance in the same way as gangers. Neophyte hybrids also as gangers. They can become specialists though on 2 or 12. Apparently the neophytes and the aberrants. Captured fighter, if any members of the cult is captured, they're worth more than when you sell them to the... They're worth all of the credits instead of half post-battle sequence. The leader and any hybrid acolytes can make one action. The other members can't because they'll risk exposing themselves. In Turf War, the rules presented over these pages focus on Dominion. But if you want to rule them in Turf War, they gain income from their turf as normal. Any special territories such as a chem mine or a chem pit or a mine workings can be instead worked by one or more neophytes. Settlements do not generate dues, they generate neophytes as normal. And they can't have guilder contracts because obviously, well... And they can't have the guilder contract territory as well. If a Genestealer Cult Gang steals a guilder contract from a rival gang, it's not added to the roster, it simply removes it, then representing and destroying it. They have the loss of leader normal, so basically you just promote someone to an alpha basically. They may hire dramatis personae. Bounty hunters are always outlaw bounty hunters, and additionally you have a different chart for the hangers-on chart for them. Basically it's less than 10 you can have 1, 10 to 14 2, 15 to 19 3, 20 to 24 4, each additional 5 plus 1. So that's the rules of them in the campaign. In the campaign, as they use most of the Orlock boons, they're going to be fairly okay. Of course, you are going to run risks, or if you play a Law and Order one, basically, the one where you have the outlaw and the law-abiding status thing, you're going to be an outlaw, so you're going to have to use outlaw dramatis personae and stuff like that. What it doesn't say though is it doesn't say that you're treated as an outlaw in a Dominion campaign, which you should be, simply because, well, you are outlaws, you're a bunch of Genestealer cultists. So even though it doesn't say it, I think it does mean that they're outlaws, regardless of whatever campaign you are doing. I know that it doesn't say that you are, however, I know that you're trying to infiltrate and stuff, but it's very obvious to others gangs that you are going to be, especially if you turn up with like an aberrant and a 3-armed leader. I mean, it's just that little bit of text would have saved a lot of arguments in the future with people. So I would say that they were counted as outlaw gang. Of course, you might not agree with that. That's up to you if you do. Maybe your gang's more sinister and able to hide it more. If you don't take any aberrants or the leader with 3 arms, then or the champions with 3 arms, again, I would say yeah, you are counted basically as an all-out gang, but use the Genestealer Cult weapon lists and tables. But as soon as you include those fighters that basically blow your cover, then yeah, I mean, that's the only way of really doing it fairly. But of course, you're free to disagree with me. The additional rules really for them are okay in a campaign status, as I said, especially with the boons thingy. So we'll be looking at the House of Iron book eventually, and we'll look at the boons chart for them, and we'll see what the Genestealer cults are capable of. I will make a note in that video saying that they do use the same chart, so stay tuned for that one. So, closing thoughts on the Genestealer Cult Gang. It is one of the stronger gangs out there, simply for the stuff that it can have, the weapons it has access to, and the range of fighters that it has in the standard list. Remember, this does not have any brutes outside the outlaw brutes, which I discussed in my previous video, which you can find here. I will note that Genestealer Cult Gangs are always going to be slightly better than other ones, starting out. Of course, this is limited by your credit selection, but considering you can have the Aberrant, and you can have people with 3 arms, basically gunslinging away and avoiding the unwieldy trait without taking a suppressor or a skill, it is pretty good. And you start off with a Psyker, if you wanted to. Now, Delac are going to have Psykers in House of Shadows, but I will need to look at them to determine whether they're going to be on par with this. I will make a note to come back and look at the comparison. I will compare them in a comparison video at a later time. Okay, so that's the Genestealer Cult Gang video from House of Ruin. I'm going to examine each gang individually from the House of Ruin, because there are 3 in there. Then we will look at House of Law and stuff, and we'll look at House of Ruin as a book by itself. Okay then, thank you everyone for your time. Do take care of yourselves, and remember that the Genestealer cults are always out there, even if you can't see them. Thank you all, bye bye.